So, you guys had a lot of questions about my recent puzzle map, and because I'm such a generous god, here's a little behind the scenes video. Let's start off with the WASD detection. Huge shout out to SMP Mike 23 who helped me with this system. If you open up your inventory, you will notice the diamond boots on your feet, which have an attribute modifier for generic movement speed. They pretty much do the same exact thing as the slowness effect, and prevent the screen jittering like you could see in my Bubble Trouble map. As soon as the player walks in one of the 4 directions, the command blocks detect it and generate an output. In game, this output just moves the UFO around, and while in the menu, a score called Screen Move is set to 1, 2, 3 or 4. Next, I update the player's rotation, and last but not least, the player gets an idle score of 0 or 1, depending on his movement, and whenever the player moved from his original position, he will be recentered again. Now, let's take a look at how the menu works. It consists of multiple layers. The first one is this animated background, and in the level menu, the blurred preview. The second one, this white border, and the last layer is where all the buttons move around. For every screen, the player gets a different menu score, and depending on what that score is, the correct background and buttons are enabled or disabled. Another score called Selected tells the game which button it should highlight. That's what these command blocks are for. This row is responsible for the menu navigation. If we are, for example, in menu 1, button 2 is selected and we press W, the game changes the selected score to 1. If we now press F, one of the diamond holes will be moved in our offense slot and detected by the system. Every time a button is pressed, a new score called menu animation is set to a different value once and then increases 20 times a second. During that time, the old buttons move out of the way and the new buttons move into place. For every possible button press, there's a different event and animation, which I had to manually create. So many hours of work. That's just the basic principle for the menu. I can't go into any more detail, but of course there are tons of other things going on to make all of this work. The game mechanics are not overly complicated, but I'll still give you a quick overlook. Whenever you press one of the first 2 buttons, your UFO state score is set to a different value, which initiates the corresponding animation and sucks up or drops a box. If a box is on top of a detector, the correct barrier's animation score is changed and the barrier will be placed or removed, which enables or disables the UFO to fly through. The conveyor belt models are purely cosmetic actually, and the mechanics for them happen underneath the map. All the boxes check which block they find and move into the according direction. The rotation parts were a bit trickier because I had to add a system that disables the rotation whenever a box is too close, and another one to prevent 2 conveyor belts of facing one another. There are 3 types of soldiers. Type 1 just stands in one place and shoots, Type 2 also stands still but rotates, and Type 3 walks around in the level. For Type 1, there's just a scoreboard timer which basically makes the soldier shoot every time it reaches 0. Same exact thing for the second type, except this time there's another timer rotating the armor stand. The last type is a bit more complicated. If a walking soldier detects a Lapis block underneath the map, it stops and summons an armor stand, which is constantly teleported downwards. And depending on what block this armor stand detects, another action will be run. The wooden stairs, for example, stand for a shot into a certain direction. The white stairs tell the soldier where he should walk next, and the redstone block kills the armor stand again. Using this method I could easily create custom paths. Every time you start a level, the correct blocks are cloned from one of those templates, and all the armor stands are summoned in. That's what this part of the command blocks is for. Those were just some of the key mechanics. I hope this clears up some of the questions you guys had though. And since this is the first time I made a behind the scenes video, make sure to let me know your thoughts about it. If you all liked it and found it at least somewhat interesting, I'll probably do more. If nobody seems to care, however, this will probably stay a one-time thing. But anyways, thanks for watching guys, and until next time.